Who is ready to start a shade garden with me? Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. My garden is located in growing zone 8B and I am in southeastern North Carolina. And when I say start a shade garden, I literally mean start. It was months ago I was talking to you about the idea of turning this area behind my shed and in between my fence line into my very first shade garden. And the deal is this. Right now, the sun is just directly over my head, but it's going to begin to go that way. And the shed actually gives me some very beautiful shade in the afternoon. And I have no shade on my property. I am in a full sun property with limited trees that offer me shade as well. So it was a very exciting idea to come up with to turn this area into a shade garden, because then I get to have new plants that I hadn't had before. I had put together this shade planter that is full of coleus. I have some gorgeous ivy and some begonias in here. And then I have 2 pots of coleus in the front to start things off as a little entrance. But besides that, I did not get to do any other work in this area because, you know, life happens, vacations happen, and I didn't want to start a whole project and then leave on travels and all that kind of stuff. Well, now that I'm here for a while, it is time to get my hands dirty and get this area cleaned up. Let me show you up close and personal how gross this area is. This is one of my most embarrassing areas in the yard. So I have to clean up first and then the beautification gets to begin. So just for an understanding as to where we are, this is my secret garden and my poolside gardens that have the blue boardwalk. But if we go this direction from the blue boardwalk, this is where the shade garden would be created. So I have the 2 Terrascape Queen Coleuses in those pots right there that are ginormous and actually need a drink right now because it's blazing hot outside. Well, look at this mess that I have going on in here. Obviously things that just need to be cleared out, including grass and weeds, pots that can be discarded, things that have just been lingering that I need to handle. I started to put a couple mulch bags back here, just like, okay, I'm gonna get to the shade garden, and then boom, didn't get to it. But yeah, this weed in particular, you know, that one that has all the thorns on it. So yeah, I'm gonna pull weeds, I'm gonna clear out the grass that I have, and then I'm gonna discard all of the garbage that I have in here as well. So I get my headband, I get my gloves, I'm ready to begin in that shade garden. Can you see the sky behind me? It's dark and all of a sudden the thunder is coming out of nowhere. So Mother Nature is very funny like that. You get the time to be able to do your garden work and Mother Nature goes, ha ha ha, not right now. So we'll be back. The thunder has stopped, so we're gonna give this another go. In case you're wondering why I'm using a hand tool instead of something else to really get into these weeds, it's because my line of Leland cypress trees that are right on the other side of the fence have roots all in here. I really don't want to go damaging tree roots just to get some weeds pulled up, so I'm going the old school style with my hand. I had hoped that my Terrascape Queen Coleus on either side of the pathway could be like my entrance, like what welcomed people into the shade garden. Unfortunately, I think this plant is getting a little too much sun right here. It really is a shade lover, and even though it gets some shade, it's kind of maybe leaning too heavily on the sun. So I think I'm gonna have to pull these back a bit and find something else that's gonna go in the front that will be a little bit more sun loving, and then kind of go from there. Since now I got the weeds really pulled up, save for some grass pieces, I think it's probably going to be safe to lay some cardboard down on top of this to keep them down. I didn't want to start with the cardboard right away though, because some of these weeds were really tough. The kind that you imagine just like ripping the cardboard right up or lifting it up. So I'm looking pretty clear. Cardboard, I think, is the next answer, then a layer of mulch probably to keep everything down. Then I'm going to be on the hunt for my beginning plants to start off the entranceway here, and then collecting goodies and beautifying as best I can to make this the prettiest little shade garden you ever did see. So here is the scoop. I have been eyeballing caladiums for a long time, for two reasons. First, all of my caladiums that I had tried overwintering didn't come back, but two sets of plants did. So I've kind of been thinking I wanted more caladiums to fill in some spaces in the yard. But secondly, I had gotten some gorgeous caladiums and used them in my front porch planters. So since they've been performing so well and the color looks so great, I've had them on my mind too. Well, here's the deal. Why I'm thinking of them for the entrance of my shade garden is because these caladiums are tolerant for both sun and shade. That is phenomenal. This way, if I get a little too much sun right at that entry point, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So this is what I did. I picked up two of these. These are the Heart to Heart Blushing Bride that has mixed colors inside the foliage, which I love. Now this Heart to Heart variety is the same kind that I did get for the front porch planters, just different color. Those were much more red. So I got two of these in case I was going to do one on each side of the entrance. I also picked this one up. This is a Monrovia plant, but this is obviously also a caladium. This is called Sangria Caladium, and it's also full sun to shade. So it's phenomenal. I am not sure what colors are going to work best right next to the Coleus, so it's going to be a work in progress. Nevertheless, these plants are going to find a home within this garden. If not in the shade area, then I'm going to show you where in the secret garden real quick. So more or less right along this area of the secret garden pathway, this is where I had the caladiums last year. I had 3 huge clumps right along here, but I have some blank spaces that are going, like I said, right along the blue boardwalk. So I could very well also do caladiums right in here, perhaps even right in here. And the thing that will determine that is how these foliage plants look with the Coleus, also great foliage plants, right at the start of the secret, or right at the start of the shade garden. So that's to be determined. Hopefully when I get home from work today, I can lay down some cardboard, lay down some mulch. This way all kind of the nitty-gritty gross work is done, and then I can really start to beautify. Well, we got home from work and hubby says, if you jump in the pool with me, I'll help you do the work in the shade garden. So I was like, sounds like a deal to me. So hence the pool hair, but I want to get this shade garden part finished so I can feel like I accomplished something before it's time to make dinner and all of that. Yay, life. So here we go. We are going to be laying down the cardboard, as I said, and mulching over the top of it. But before we do that, for a lot of the way back here, the tree roots are not actually protruding, like sticking up out of the ground at all. However, in the start of the shade garden, I can see tree roots. So I really just want to make sure they're taken care of because, of course, you know, trees are an investment and we don't want them to be damaged at all. So I'm going to be adding some garden soil down first. These are the trees I'm talking about, by the way. The Leland cypress that are behind my fence line are mine. My property still is back there. I just planted these trees behind there so I can have some more privacy for things like, you know, the pool area and such. So the Leland cypress are the roots that I'm talking about. I'm going to add some soil down now. Then we are going to do the cardboard and mulch, as I said. And then everything is going to be a perfect blank slate canvas for me to then put all these gorgeous babies and all of this beautiful foliage into different places that look divine. So this is where we're leaving it for today. Basically, I feel like the junk got cleared out. The area is now prepped, almost like blank slate-ish, so that I can start beautifying it as best I can. So I need to separate the Coleus out of these window box planters so that they can get big and luscious. I need to figure out some other beautiful ways to display plants that will be basically a container garden back here, because obviously I'm not going to plant in the ground and risk cutting through the tree roots. It's just not necessary. So I'll do the best I can do with everything inside of containers and decor and all that kind of stuff. So stick with me for this adventure, because I think the prettiest little shade garden you ever did see really is going to be developed right here. Thank you guys for watching. I know not a ton was accomplished today, but I hope there was still a little bit of inspiration in there somewhere anyway. Follow me on social media for more, of course, and until next time, you guys, happy planting.